Joining me now is Todd Bensman. He is a senior national security fellow at the Center for Immigration Studies. Todd, thanks so much for joining me today.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Of course. Now, I want to start with a recent clip of Joe Biden talking about what his administration plans to do in terms of immigration.
We were briefed on the steps needed to clean up the humanitarian disaster that the Trump administration has systematically created on our southern border.
What's your reaction to Joe Biden's remarks, and what challenges might he face should he pursue this plan of action?
Well, his characterization of a humanitarian crisis at the border created by Trump is just flat wrong. There is no such humanitarian crisis. Not now. There was in 2018, 2019. But as a result of a series of policy innovations that Trump put into place right around the summer of 2019, we were able to, as a nation, a Homeland Security enterprise, reduce the number of Central Americans coming in over the border from about 120, 140,000 a month to about 20,000 a month, 30,000 a month, which is still high, but certainly not any kind of a crisis. So I'm not sure what he's talking about. There is no such thing. Quite the opposite. I think that what we'll probably see in 2021 as a result of these fixes that the Biden administration is promising is that it should be a renewal of a humanitarian crisis of the sort we saw in 2018, 2019.
Something that I also wanted to talk about, and you've written about this before, is this wave of migrants that are predicted in Biden's first year. Can you tell us a little bit about where these migrants might be coming from?
The vast majority of them are going to be Central Americans, Haitians, and Cubans. When they finally come, they'll be from the Northern Triangle countries and some in the Caribbean. The reason why I say this is that for the moment, they're in a kind of stasis behind pandemic border closures in Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, even further south to Panama and Costa Rica. The borders are closed for normal travel. So they're pooling up like water behind a dam in those countries, waiting, pushing, pressing, trying to find ways northward by smuggling any way possible. When those border closures ease, we should expect to see a really significant surge from those Northern Triangle countries. And in Cuba, you've got thousands of migrants who are pooled up in countries like Suriname and Guyana. And then you have migrants from the Middle East, from South Asia terror countries like Bangladesh, Syria, Iraq, Iran, all of those kinds of places, Pakistan, Somalia, who are dammed up right now in Panama and in Colombia by these border closures, and Africa too, lots of Africans. So really it's a whole range of nationalities, some of which are coming from places of significant national security concern. We should expect, along with the Central Americans, a lot of migrants from places in the Middle East where terrorist organizations are active, where warlords and war criminals are perpetuating, atrocities in Africa and that sort of thing. And they'll show up at our border claiming asylum, but we really won't know who they are. They won't bring identification, and it'll be a big vetting issue at that point. And in a flood that's compromising our border management systems, it'll be next to impossible to really do any vetting at all for people under the Biden regime that they're talking about, opening up asylum and making it more reversing Trump's asylum tightening policies, kind of reversing that.
Something I also want to talk about is sort of this conversation and these legal challenges that are ongoing for the DACA program. From my understanding, there was a hearing held last week in Texas. There wasn't, an immediate ruling in relation to that. But can you sort of walk us through what this conversation has been since the program started back in 2012 by President Obama to where the program currently is now, and sort of what lies ahead for the Biden administration and any challenges that it might face?
Right. Well, there have been legal challenges. Trump has wanted to undo DACA. He's actually flip-flopped about it a few times on the campaign trail, but in actuality, he moved to undo the Obama era DACA program, which, as we know, would legalize probably about 700,000 migrants who are illegally here. They came in as children. Either they were brought in by an adult or by their parents, or they came in on their own and have lived here most of their lives. And so there's the argument that given their contributions and the fact that they've never really connected to their home countries, that they should be allowed to stay. The Biden administration has promised to provide that amnesty very quickly. I don't know how quickly he'll be able to do it. It's been hung up at various different parts of it have been hung up at different stages in the appeals process and at the Supreme Court. But probably a bigger issue, if I can just diverge from that for a minute, would be Biden's very recent promise to provide to put a bill forward within his first 100 days that would provide a type of amnesty to everybody who is in the United States without documents, who are basically illegal. And that's anywhere from 15 to 20 million people, depending on who you listen. It could be as high as 30 million. Nobody really knows. But he's promised to at least put forward a bill to the House and Senate that would provide amnesty for millions and millions of people. Well, you can just imagine how the sound of that has played with migrants all over the world, in Central America and everywhere else, who would undoubtedly be incentivized to rush to the border as fast as possible to get in on time for that possible amnesty. If that fails, and there's a lot of obstacles for a bill like that to fail, there's a lot of places, fail points, I guess you would call that. There are other ways for the Biden administration to essentially provide amnesty for all those millions of people, something called parole in place, which is like, we're going to give you work authorizations, which essentially then allow you to have a social security number and a card. You're essentially here legally. So I think that really the bigger issue beyond DACA are programs like that, and especially how those play on populations to our south, wanting to get in time.
Would that be something that he could do through executive action?
Yes. But remember what happened every time that Trump did an an executive order or a proclamation having to do with immigration, that there are groups that line up to sue. In many of those cases, it was often in the 9th district, which is kind of a liberal appellate court district. We can expect that people on the conservative Republican side would do the same with anything like that there would be, litigation after litigation, maybe in the 5th Circuit court here in Texas, where I am, in other conservative districts. And so it probably wouldn't happen overnight. Things would be delayed. Let's just say that they would be delayed, just like the Democrats delayed Trump's policies.
Todd, thank you so much for joining me today. I'll definitely have you back on, to check in on the status of that. Greatly appreciate all of your insight today. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate the attention.